You know, there are moments in our lives and in the life of a nation when the ground feels like it's shifting beneath our feet, when the map we thought we were following suddenly seems outdated or incomplete. And if we're honest with ourselves, the mid 2020s have been one of those moments. Technology moving faster than we can process, economies transforming in ways that leave too many behind, communities fraying under the weight of division and noise. Most people overlook this, but feeling lost isn't a sign of weakness, it's a signal, a reminder that something essential is asking for our attention. And yet, with all this change, all this uncertainty, the question we keep coming back to is simple. How do we find our purpose again in a world that seems to be racing past our understanding? I've lived long enough to know that this isn't the first era where people have felt unmoored. Every generation faces some turning point, that moment when familiar structures strain under new realities. In this era, the mid 2020s, that pressure is amplified by the speed of our technologies, the widening gulf between opportunity and despair, and the sheer volume of voices competing for our attention. You open your phone, and suddenly you're confronted with 1,000 versions of how you should live, what you should value, who you should fear. And amid all that, something gets lost, not just in our society, but in ourselves. We forget that purpose has never been something the world hands to us, it's something we build together. And there's a quiet grief that comes with losing connection to one another, to our communities, to any sense of shared destiny. But there's also hope in recognizing that the search for meaning is as old as humanity itself. And every time we've confronted it, progress has come not from isolation, but from rediscovering what binds us. When I was organizing in Chicago, I met folks who weren't wealthy, who didn't have power or influence, but who understood purpose better than most people in Washington ever would. They showed up, they cleaned parks, they fought for safer streets, they comforted neighbors who'd lost family to violence or poverty, and they did it not because it was easy, but because somewhere along the way they realized that meaning comes from service, from being part of something larger than yourself. Later in the White House, I saw that same truth play out on a global scale. Whether it was responding to a financial crisis or facing down a pandemic, purpose emerged not in the certainty of outcomes, but in the courage to keep moving forward when no path was guaranteed. And let me tell you, there were plenty of nights when I wondered if we were doing enough, if we were pushing hard enough against the tide. But doubt, I've learned, isn't the enemy of purpose. It's part of the process. It keeps you honest. It keeps you humble. And sometimes Michelle would remind me, usually with a raised eyebrow, that purpose doesn't require perfection. It just requires presence. If you strip away the noise, the deeper truth about this moment becomes clear. Feeling lost is a human response to a world that asks us to run faster than our spirits were built to move. But it also invites us to step back and ask the bigger questions. What does it mean to live with dignity? What does it mean to belong to one another? What responsibilities do we carry not just to ourselves, but to our communities and our democracy? And here's the paradox. The same forces that leave us disconnected, the screens, the polarization, the relentless pressure to optimize our lives, can also be harnessed for connection, for empathy, for rebuilding trust. But that requires leadership grounded not in fear or profit, but in our shared humanity. Leadership that's willing to acknowledge that progress is slow, often nonlinear, and always rooted in the collective choices of ordinary people. And if we're willing to look closely, we see that purpose isn't a destination, it's a practice, a daily commitment to align what we do with who we aspire to be. In that sense, the arc of history doesn't just bend toward justice, it bends toward meaning when enough of us decide that hope is more than a feeling. It's a form of work. So as we navigate this uncertain age, we have to remember that purpose isn't found in ease or certainty, it's found in the courage to walk through uncertainty together. And maybe that's the quiet gift of this moment, that millions of people searching for direction might rediscover in one another the very meaning they thought they had lost. Because when we feel lost, it is the work of community and hope that guides us home. And the truth is, we've never needed that sense of home, that sense of shared purpose more than we do right now. So the question is, what kind of meaning are we willing to build together? What responsibilities are we ready to claim in shaping that future? And in the end, when history looks back on this moment, will we have chosen purpose not just for ourselves, but for one another,